Ladies and gentlemen, the real estate sector is expected to grow exponentially in the coming decade. From USD 180 billion in 2020 to the projected market size of $1 trillion by 2030. Now, this growth has been fueled by various government-led policies, initiatives for enhancing the ease of doing business, foreign investments in the sector, and fostering global collaborations. This two-day conclave focuses on shaping the future of commercial real estate in India and will feature a range of topics that are relevant to the current market. These will include government support for the sector, affordable housing, the impact of RERA, financing options, technology integration, investment opportunities, and especially the focus on India's Vision 2047. We have a line of panel discussions and fireside chats to discuss these topics, and we're also opening the floor for a Q&A round after every discussion. So let's start with the first panel discussion, a fireside chat of today. And I would like to call upon our panelists for this fireside chat, which is based on the fractional ownership and SM REITs. Starting with our first panelist, I would like to call upon Mr. Shiv Parekh, founder and CEO, hBits. Can we have you on stage, sir? Mr. Shiv. Can we welcome him with a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Followed by Mr. Sudarshan Lodha, co-founder, Strata. Let's keep the applause going, everybody. Thank you. Mr. Mupa Chaudhary, VP, NAREDCO. And last but not the least, CA Amit Kumar Kedia, who is also going to be moderating this very interesting session. Can we welcome them with a big round of applause, everybody? Over to you, Mr. Amit Kumar.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So it's second day and it looks like you all are a bit tired. Is it so? Are you sure? So now, today, I thank the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Shri Hiranandani ji, Chairman of NAREDCO, Haribabu Saab, President NAREDCO, and all the executive committee members for taking and thinking over this topic, the fractional ownership and small and medium REITs, as one of the sessions for these 2 days conclave. Friends, today when we look forward that today when India is taking a bridge of escalating itself to a new horizon, where you all have contributed in national development. Am I correct? Has this word not been wrong with me? Are we a part of national development? Yes. Are we partners to national development? Yes. And do we see ourselves as a Viksit Bharat 2047 as the partner to Viksit Bharat? Yes. So yes, this session today will going to bring all of us together to put ourselves to 2047 as a Viksit Bharat. Here today, we have our panelist, Shri Shiv Parekh ji, who is the founder of hBits. We have along with us Vice President NAREDCO, Shri Mupa ji, and we have Sudarshan Lodha ji, who is co-founder of Strata. We would be discussing about a topic that is fractional ownership and small and medium REITs regulations, which is to be there very soon. Friends, I would like to start my journey since 1990, where we as a country opened our borders for the FDI. Then SEBI came in place in 1992. Later on, as Baldi sir have told, that RERA, which have come with the transparency and with more uniformity. RERA was there way back in 2017. Between that, I would like to call upon our one of the panelists, Sri Sunil Jain ji, from Rajasthan NAREDCO. I please invite him to be one of the panelists. Then GST came, Digital India was there, and then the regulations of SM REITs. So friends, combined together, when we have seen the FDIs, the real estate development, where the transparency and uniformity was there, REITs, the REITs was there, and where the Digital India came. In 2019, a new concept of fractional ownership was there, wherein we were facing, because of the stringentness of GST, the liquidity vanished from the system. Fractional ownership got incorporated. Fractional ownership was not incorporated in 2019. In our families also we have seen that when we go and buy a property, 4, 5 brothers used to come together, used to pool up their money and used to purchase a property. This concept was a type of a fractional ownership only. Moving forward, this concept was made a public, wherein the liquidity crunch was going through across the country, and the fractional ownership came in place. Sooner, SEBI realized that if the fractional ownership platforms are not being regulated, then it could going to create some issues in time to come with the investors. So a regulation is to be there. It's needed to be placed in very well in place. So combined together from 1992 till May 23, whatever achievements our country had done, a regulation was proposed in form of a consultation paper of small and medium REITs. So this was the background to set the context of today's panel discussion. At the end, we would be having our question and answer sessions also. So please be patient and looking forward for your questions also. So my first question is to Shiv Parekh ji. Shiv ji, can you please tell what are the properties which can be put in place as for the fractional ownership and the small and medium REITs?
Yeah, oh, thank you, Amit ji, and that's a great background and introduction and journey of fractional ownerships and SM REITs. Just before I answer your query, just to give a little bit of background as to how fractional ownership has evolved in the last few years and how the regulation has taken shape, or rather the proposed regulation. So I think few of the players, ourselves, Sudarshan's company started about 4 or 5 years ago. And we've seen a lot of investor interest because you're getting 8 to 9% rental yield in these properties, these office properties, warehousing properties that are rented to, MNCs or large Indian corporates. Only issue is that the asset sizes are 20, 50, 100 crore. So out of the reach of most retail investors. And like Amit ji said, in the past, it's happened in an informal way, brothers coming together and owning a property. And platforms like ourselves have tried to offer it in a professional way over the last 4 or 5 years. So we've been in touch with SEBI since 2022 when they took note of this industry growing. And they took our feedback, our views, and then in May they came up with a consultation paper, detailing it how this, the new regulation would look like for this business model. Post that in November, there was a SEBI board meeting for which this proposal was put, and now we're just waiting for the final notification. So that's where we are today. To touch upon the asset size, I think the way SEBI is thinking about it is that any asset between 25 to 500 crore would be applicable, and it should be a rent-generating asset. The reason I think is twofold. One is in terms of the asset sizes. I think SEBI's view is that anything less than 25 crore maybe doesn't really have the quality to be listed on a platform and to distribute it to retail investors. Anything above 500 crore, they've taken the view that that is for the traditional REIT model. And MSM REITs are, and MSM, the full form is medium, small, and micro. So that is between 25 and 500 crore. And then as of today, they don't want under construction properties to be listed on the platform. They only want rent generating assets. So investors completely secure and starts earning returns from day one.
Thank you. So what are the type of properties like we can pool in this small and medium REITs or like the fractional ownership? Definitely it should be an income yielding asset, but what are the type of assets like we should put in?
No, so I think the universe is extremely large, right? You talk about offices, warehouses, data centers, schools, hospitals, any of these type of assets. Just to, in Gurgaon over here, you'll have multiple assets. In Bangalore, in ORR, in Mumbai, in BKC, whether it's units within buildings or full buildings themselves, any of these assets can be listed on the platform once, constructed, rented out. So for developers, traditionally, for a developer, only the top 4, 5, 7 developers in the country had access to these large funds. But any other mid-sized developer, even if you look at the 3 REITs, or rather 4 REITs, 1 mall REIT and 3 office REITs, there are only 4 REITs today. And the market cap of these REITs are 30,000 crore. What about a developer who has a few 100 crore of assets, a few 1,000 crore of assets? His option in the past was only to sell to an ultra HNI. An ultra HNI who would buy a 30 crore, 50 crore asset. And the issue with that is dealing with ultra HNIs, every ultra HNI has his or her own whims and fancies. Here you're dealing with a standardized structure where you're able to exit your share on the platform. Just to touch upon some numbers, if I just talk about the office space, 800 million square feet of grade A offices in India. That's approximately 8 lakh crore worth of offices of grade A offices. Out of which only 55,000 crore are the 3 office REITs. So there's 7,50,000 crore of assets that are there to be exited. As of now, either the developer has taken LRD or a few of them have been sold to ultra HNIs. But that's not a scalable model. That's not a way to provide liquidity and exits to developers so they can do their job, which is taking the funds in constructed assets and investing in new land and building the new India.
Thank you. So Sudarshan ji, if we have a party, then people dancing in the party should be more. So how many people or who are the people who would be there involved in this small and medium REITs? The people who are involved that would be there.
Very interesting question. Firstly, thank you, and thank you Anil Suriji for having me. Thanks to his insistence to be a part of this session, and again, thank you again. Mic's not working? Hello? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was just saying thanks to Anil Suriji for having me here. I mean, thanks to his insistence on being a part of this. In terms of your question, there are 2 people who will join the party, right? One is developers and the second one is investors as such, right? But there's a third person also who will join the party, are a lot of these end corporate owners who do. Like for instance, a good focus for us this year is healthcare. Unfortunately, before healthcare, all the hospitals own their own hospitals themselves. And for them to scale, the only option was to accumulate profits and then continue building more or get some grant from the government in terms of the land's cheaper or whatever it is and then do it. For a developer, hospital has not made commercial sense in general is because usi same land pe, the developer can get a higher rental at a lower construction cost for an office space or a residential where his realization is better. And then a hospital, he'll get low rental and a higher construction cost. So it does not make ROI sense for developers, which is why hospitals haven't scaled in India. I'm just giving a hospital as an example. But that's the niche which we are trying to see and trying to scale up in that. A similar segment we got reached out by a very large Japanese company which owns 70 acres and have a factory put forth over there. Now that asset, I think they would have bought it for what, 7-10 crores 20 years back. Today it's worth about 500-600 crores. So they're saying, can we work with you to do either a sale and lease back of sorts, which will allow them liquidity because they're not moving out for 20 years. But that money could be used for R&D, supply chain and something better by helping them unlock capital out of an asset class which has never been unlocked. So that's another very innovative new joinee to the party which is going to come. But otherwise for developers, the two ways to look at it, let's say there are 3 tiers of developer. Tier 1 developer makes at least 3 to 5 million square feet a year, which means does a turnover, in office I'm talking, or commercial in general, does a turnover of about 3,000-5,000 crores. Then you get developers who do a turnover of anywhere between 500 to 1,000, and then developers who do less than 500. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. ऐसा नहीं कि सब कोई grade A नहीं है. Everyone's grade A as such in general. Everyone wants to make quality stock. I'm putting them in tiers basis the stock they are making. Tier 1 get all the large funds of the world who are backing them. Blackstone, Brookfield, GIC, all these funds who give money cheaper because it's cheap capital for them, etc. And they're able to scale. The medium guys are only relying on ultra HNI, is what Shiv mentioned, who can participate. Maybe smaller funds are participating. And in the medium category, it's anyway less than 500 crores, so he's not interested, or his aspiration is to scale up over there. So our focus is for the tier 3 and tier 2. Okay, we can be your Blackstone, we can be your GIC, we can be your Brookfield as such. If you want to play in the tier 1 category, you need an institutional backing, and we can be that institutional backing for you and continue backing. कि आप ये मत सोचो कि every asset should be retained with me only. You're a developer, your job is to develop and unlock more and more opportunities in the market. Partner with the right folks who will always ensure that your brand reputation is always ensured, right? Because when you sell to HNIs as such, property maintenance is probably not done properly. People don't pay property tax on time, insurance, bunch of these other compliance issues which come because end of the HNIs, and they do not understand the entire real estate business as such because it's just about parking money for them, right? But end of the day, your brand reputation goes for a toss because somebody will come and say, okay, oh, let's say NAREDCO as a builder, they'll say, oh, NAREDCO ki building mein tenants ke saath issue ho gaya tha because they're not maintaining the property or etc. Right? So to ensure that we're saying that have an institutional backer where capital is always available for you, and you focus so I'm your financial partner and you can focus on developing more and more, leasing more and more, and we keep backing you in everything. So at the same time, so this was taken care of from the developer's party interest, right? In the party is happy over there. Now, how do I bring investors? Now, investors today, with the money they had, they could own apartments where they're making 2%, 3% kind of returns. As such, now we're giving those people an opportunity to own grade A assets and make 8-9% returns. So for them, it's a great thing, number one. Second is also, if some investor had 5-10 crores, what do you get in 5-10 crores in today's world, right? Even in a city like Hyderabad today, 10 years back it was cheap. Today, in 10 crores, you get nothing in Hyderabad also, right? Apartments are going beyond that. So the idea is, can we give them grade A office ka opportunity कि हाँ, can I own a 2 Horizon Center? Can I own a 1 Horizon Center, which are the marquee properties? First is, at 10 crore, I don't even have the ability to even look into these assets क्योंकि औकात के बारे, right? Very out of my reach to even consider. Number one. Second is, how do I even identify if something is available for sale? So today we give an opportunity on a platter to an investor कि you can choose why only Gurgaon, invest in Bangalore, invest in Mumbai, invest in Hyderabad, invest in Pune, all the growth markets. Otherwise, for you as an investor, issues are how to identify asset, how do I determine the value of the asset, how do I do the legal due diligence? Because in India, there's a different law in every city, every state. More than that, in Mumbai, you go, every street is a different law altogether, right? So understanding the nuances, that's what you come to us as professionals where we handle everything and give it to them, right? So the party will be going on for 24 hours now because it's a win-win situation for everybody in the ecosystem.
Yeah, to add on, when we say 1 + 1 is 2, and we say 1 और 1 11 हो जाते हैं, so it is in a similar manner. When Sudarshan ji have told that the assets could be of any part of the country, so the investors could be also from any part of the country. When we say that because of the coming of the small and medium REITs, the asset size in which they can invest would be as small as 10 lakh rupees. So for example, I'm just having 50 lakh rupees in my pocket and I want to purchase some commercial. So I can diversify myself in 5 different assets, maybe one in Mumbai, one in Bangalore, one in Hyderabad, one in Delhi, one in Kolkata. And in this similar manner, with diversification, I can enjoy the returns. So over to you, Mupa Chaudhary Saab, our Vice President NAREDCO. Saab, what would be the advantage of this SM REITs moving forward? इसका क्या फायदा होने वाला है investors को आने वाले समय में आपको कैसा लगता है? And how do you find developers को क्या इससे फायदा होएगा? साहब आपसे सुनना पसंद करेंगे.
So good morning, friends. So this topic is very interesting to all of our builders. So because we are able to find one more avenue to sell our product and make fast money and do many projects. So I will start with the REITs. Actually, REITs are very popular in USA and other countries. In India, the REIT regulations was passed in 2014. The first REIT was listed in 2019. So far, about 4 to 5 REITs are only listed in India. So after 10 years of the regulation, there are not many REITs. This is only because of the investment size. So if you want to raise a REIT, at least you should put 500 crores. In our country, only very few big builders can put 500 crores. That's why it was not so popular. So to fill the gap, this fractional ownership has come, and small builders, they are able to put their sales through different platforms. So again, this is not regulated by the SEBI, and hence investors has doubt, and all the investors are not interested. Only very few investors who are familiar with this system are coming forward. SEBI has come out to fill this gap and modified its regulations. In November 2023, it has modified the regulations and reduced the investment size to 50 crores, which is a very boom for real estate industry, especially for all of our builders. So this 50 crores is very reasonable, and up to 500 crores starting from 50 to 500 crores, any property which is leased, we can place it on REITs and get money and go for many more projects. So I will give a small example. This is going to boost our real estate industry in a larger sense. So it is going to create a new era of real estate development. Why? I will tell you. I will give a small example. You see RERA. So when RERA was introduced, after the RERA, the real estate boom has come. We can see for the last 4 or 5 years, the number has gone up and the size of real estate has boosted. Everybody is talking about real estate. Even the GDP growth has contributed to the GDP growth also. Why? This is only because of, this is creating a lot of confidence in the customers. The customer he is sure that his property is delivered in time and it is done in a good manner and everything is fine. So RERA will take care of everything. So the builder is also very comfortable because his activities are voluntarily controlled. So he is conserving his capital, he is not diverting the money to the other projects. Automatically he is getting more money and he can concentrate on more number of projects. And again, the banker is also very happy because half of his job is done by RERA. So he need not go into very large details of the developer. So every periodical reports have to be submitted by the developer to the RERA, which is controlling the builder. So this is how it is all contributed for the development of the real estate, and we are able to see this for the last 4 or 5 years, how the real estate has grown. And again, after the introduction of these SME REITs, all of us, most of us, we are sitting here who are small builders, we have one more option. And I feel that after 4 or 5 years, this is going to be one of the major business for the developers. So builders all, please concentrate and try to encash this type of investment also. So that is what I feel.
Sunil ji, over to you. Do you think, Sunil ji, tier 2, tier 3 cities would going to come up with some advantage of this SM REITs coming in place once the regulations is there?
Thank you. Thank you, NAREDCO. Thank you, Amit ji. Thank you for giving me opportunity to interact with you. Only in the morning, just 10 minutes before, I was asked to be here and share my thoughts on this. But I'm really delighted because this topic is very close to my heart. I was thinking that this, in real estate market, fractional ownership is something which was very, very important, and but proper attention was not given to it. In 2014, first notification came about the REIT. 2014, way back, 10 years back. बस 5 साल तक उसके बाद में कुछ ज़्यादा कुछ हुआ नहीं, और अभी भी सिर्फ 50,000 करोड़ के REIT हमारे पास आ पाए, और that's a very small amount looking to this size of the country and size of the real estate market. तो मैं समझता हूँ कि ये जो एक रिवोल्यूशनरी स्टेप मैं समझता हूँ हुआ है, और आई विल ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन मैं उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट देखता हूँ और क्या किस एज ए डेवलपर और एज ए इन्वेस्टर क्या हमें कुछ करना चाहिए इसके लिए. देखिए, जॉइंट स्टॉक का जो कॉन्सेप्ट था वो इंडिया में इट केम इन 17th century, 20th century में काफ़ी पॉपुलर हुआ. जॉइंट स्टॉक का मतलब ये है कि कुछ कंपनियाँ खड़ी करनी है तो शेयर मार्केट से पैसा थोड़े थोड़े इन्वेस्टर से लिया जाए और कंपनी खड़ी की जाए. दिस इज जॉइंट स्टॉक. एंड नाउ द REIT इज अ जॉइंट स्टॉक ऑफ रियल एस्टेट. तो ये जो जॉइंट स्टॉक हो रहा है उससे क्या होगा, बहुत बड़ी बड़ी चीज़ें होने वाली है, बहुत सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में आने वाली है. अभी हम लोग छड़ते हैं उस पर प्रॉपर्टी पे और इन्वेस्टर को उतार देते हैं, फिर एक प्रॉपर्टी क्रिएट होती है. तो जो सिस्टम में पैसा पड़ा हुआ है कैपिटल मार्केट में, अमित जी, अभी ये स्थिति है कि इंटरनेशनली देयर इज अ ह्यूज कैपिटल सरप्लस इन द सिस्टम.
अब लेकिन क्या ये पैसा टियर 2, टियर 3 तक पहुंच पाएगा?
मैं उस पर आ रहा हूँ. आई एम कमिंग टू दैट. I'm giving the background because I'm here to give my thoughts also. So I'm taking that opportunity also because I think that will be beneficial to the audience. Your purpose is also that. So I'm coming to your question also because that's a very small thing. I haven't been given 2 minutes time, so I will address that. So जो capital market की surplus पड़ी हुई है system में internationally, उस surplus की वजह से हम देख रहे हैं कि share prices worldwide और startups की जो pricing है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है. To me it's a totally unreasonable pricing. बट रियल एस्टेट को जब हम देखते हैं तो रियल एस्टेट की प्राइसेस रियली रियलिस्टिक है. हम लोग जयपुर में एक टाउनशिप कर रहे हैं 8,500 रुपये में. 3 साल पहले हमने बेचना चालू किया, अभी 31,500 में बेच रहे हैं. दिस अ रियल थिंग वी आर डूइंग. 8,500 3 years back and now 31,500 rupees. So that's the kind of momentum in real estate in India because of the so many things coming up after the gap of the demonetization and COVID. अभी हम लोग जिस एरा में आ गए हैं, जो कंट्री की जो पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशंस हैं, सारी चीज़ें हैं बहुत पॉजिटिव है, और ये दिस इज गोइंग टू ऐड अनदर फेदर इन द कैप. दिस REIT विद 50 crore लिमिट इज गोइंग टू क्रिएट अ वंडरफुल थिंग्स. अब इसमें मैं देखता हूँ कि टियर 2, टियर 3 सिटीज़ के लिए जो ट्रस्ट फैक्टर, हमारी कॉन्फिडेंस पूरी ट्रस्ट के ऊपर है. REIT का मतलब ये है कि आपको कॉन्फिडेंस देना पड़ेगा इन्वेस्टर को. कुछ फ्रॉड्स हो गए, रियल एस्टेट इज वेरी क्लोज टू फ्रॉड्स, और यदि 50 crore की लिमिट में जो एक थ्रेट है, यदि कुछ इनिशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आए, जैसे सर ने और 2 हमारे यहाँ पे पैनल स्पीकर्स हैं, दोनों ने REITs लाए हैं. आई वाज ट्राइंग टू स्टडी ऑन योर वेबसाइट एंड आई वाज ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड वेदर इट इज लीगली डन और समथिंग रॉन्ग अबाउट दैट. सो देयर इज अ इम्पैक्ट ऑफ स्टैम्प ड्यूटी व्हेन यू ट्रांसफर ए प्रॉपर्टी. राजस्थान स्टैम्प एक्ट ये कहता है कि अगर किसी भी तरीके से प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर करी है तो आपको स्टैम्प ड्यूटी लग जाएगी. एक्सटेंडेड डेफिनेशन सेज व्हाटएवर वे यू ट्रांसफर योर प्रॉपर्टी यू हैव टू पे स्टैम्प ड्यूटी. सो देयर आर टीथिंग प्रॉब्लम्स इन लीगली. अभी तो 2-3 कंपनियां आई हैं, बट आप लोगों ने शायद अच्छे से काम किया तो यू हैव कम अप विद गुड रेपुटेशन. बट दिस हैज टू बिल्ड इन द टाइम टू कम. और टियर 2, टियर 3 सिटीज़ में क्योंकि इनकम यील्ड प्रॉपर्टीज होनी चाहिए और वहाँ पे वैल्यूएशन जो होती है काफ़ी मार्केट वैल्यू और कई बार परचेज वैल्यू में डिफरेंस होता है, तो वहाँ कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स मैं देखता हूँ. इतना बड़ा इफेक्ट वहाँ अभी इनिशियली नहीं आएगा, बट हम लोग वर्क करते रहते हैं लगातार. हम लोग ट्रस्ट फैक्टर बनाते रहते हैं. यहाँ पे कुछ गवर्नमेंट के लोग बैठे हैं, हमारे यहाँ NAREDCO लोग भी बैठे हैं, डेवलपर्स बैठे हैं. करना ये पड़ेगा कि ये जो एक पौधा चालू बीज लगा है, मैं समझता हूँ बीज इट्स अ सीड, हमें इसको पूरा डेवलप करना पड़ेगा. सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स को ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि कोई गलती ना हो जाए. यदि शुरू में हमने कुछ गलतियाँ कर दी और कुछ फ्रॉड्स हो गए इसमें, तो गवर्नमेंट विल गो बैक. और यदि हमने इसकी पेस मेंटेन कर दी जो NAREDCO और क्रेडाई जैसी बॉडीज वो कर सकती हैं, तो अभी कुछ भी नहीं हुआ है, मतलब हमने इनकम यील्डिंग नहीं, बहुत सारी प्रॉपर्टीज को जॉइंट स्टॉक में ला करके उसको सरप्लस कैपिटल में ला करके हम लोग इकोनॉमी को बूस्ट कर सकते हैं बहुत तेजी से। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि वी मस्ट गो विद दैट, और सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स को प्रॉपर्ली, अभी तो मैं समझता हूँ बहुत ज़्यादा लोग रीट के बारे में सुना, कितने लोगों ने रीट के बारे में सुना है यहाँ पे? प्लीज रेज योर हैंड्स। नॉट मेनी पीपल हैव हर्ड अबाउट दिस। So this is a new concept. We must understand that, take the opportunities for that. क्योंकि इसमें as a investor, as a developer, अब मैं बताता हूँ prices with this REIT are going to go up to a great extent. So it's an opportunity for tier 2, tier 3. But वो जो development आएंगे वो मैं नहीं देखता हुआ पाएंगे अभी.
Thank you, thank you. Shivji, there's a terminology, sponsor, trustees, managers, developer. Can you please elaborate and explain in simple terms where we all can understand who these people are and how they would going to contribute in the small and medium REITs?
No, absolutely. Hello. So in this new proposed structure, just to explain, there's a trust. Trust is where the investor will invest and have units in that trust. Then each trust, in the trust, there are schemes, and a scheme represents ownership in a asset, and that asset is housed in a private limited entity. So there's a trust, private limited entity, and then the property below that. So investor might invest in unit A in the trust, which will represent scheme 1, property 1. Unit B will represent scheme 2, property 2. So that is how the investor invests. The sponsor and investment manager, what SEBI has proposed in the latest board agenda, is going to be clubbed into one. And the sponsor or the investment manager is basically what we as a platform are doing, which is putting on the whole show in terms of bringing the asset onto the platform, managing the asset, collection of rentals from the tenants, ensuring that it's passed on. So in charge of basically the whole structure, in charge of everything. SEBI has proposed, net worth requirement so that only credible players, so the concern that was raised about, any fraud, this, that happens. So there's, minimum net worth requirements, so only capable players are operating as a sponsor or investment manager. There's also minimum experience requirement. And then there's also skin in the game requirement. So all the platforms are mandated to keep at least 5% of the investment in each and every property. The trustee will in fact be, managing everything in the same way is present in the traditional REIT structure. So that all the funds, any fund transfer, any fund flow happens with the trustee in the middle between the sponsor and the trust. And that ensures complete security of transaction and fund flow. So overall, those are the few of the constituents. Then there's obviously the seller of the asset, the developer that's selling the asset to the MSM REIT. They have the ability to sell all of their asset, but continue holding 25% of the asset if they sell into the REIT. Any one player or one investor can own only maximum of 25%. So there's no controlling interest of any one party. And then there's also a lot of the partners, channel partners that help in this whole framework, whether to bring investors onto the platform or bring properties to the platform. So these are a few of the different stakeholders, Amitji, that are present.
Thank you, thank you. So to add on the trust, sponsor need to be having a net worth of 20 crores and a manager needs to have a net worth of 10 crores. So the player who is coming to take up these responsibility is having a sound net worth to it, and as told, the skin in the game, they need to keep a stake also in these SM REITs. Along with that, they cannot be like flyers. They need to be having an experience of 5 years minimum before they come with taking up these responsibilities as a sponsor or a manager. So now the entity would be absolutely professionally managed after being. And once it is there, they would be listed, the REITs, SM REITs would be listed at the national or the Bombay Stock Exchange. that is the stock exchanges, any of the stock exchange which have a nationwide terminal, trading terminals. So over to you, Sudarshan ji. Can you please tell what is the difference between a fractional ownership platform and the SM REITs in terms of like regulation, in terms of say the net worth, in terms of the transparency? If you can show some light on towards this. Yeah.
Just generally, when sir asked how many of you know REITs, I think only about 10-20 people raised. So I'll probably take a step back and explain what this is first, so that everybody understands and how developers can work with us, right? So we as the REIT platforms are partners with developers to bring you investors who value your asset. Essentially, real estate has been a very local business. कि मैं बॉम्बे का हूँ तो मेरे investors भी बॉम्बे से ही रहते हैं. मोटा मोटी at max कोई जयपुर का या दिल्ली का कोई आ गया because उसके रिश्तेदार थे जो उन्होंने बोला कि अच्छी property है, work with them, तू भी 20-25 करोड़ रुपए लगा दे, right? That has been the way it has always functioned as such. Now your tier 1 category which I told are able to play little national game कि हाँ दिल्ली वाले लोगों ने भी बैंगलोर में पैसा लगाया etc. But वो बहुत कम quantity में है सर. So the idea is that we are bringing you international investors who will come to you, associate with your brand, and it has everlasting impact on your residential sales or other businesses which you do. उसमें भी वो impact करता है, which is why your objective is the quality stock you build. Our job is to bring quality investors to you who will value the product you have built and give you a value for that. So as a platform, our job is to raise capital for you and buy your assets which will allow you to liquidate your portfolio and focus more what sir mentioned, that you can, fast money system is not the right word, but sustainable growth is what you should focus on and continue building your portfolio as such. So what we do is हमारे पास बहुत सारे investors हैं. और now that it's coming under the SEBI umbrella, so it becomes even more a credible platform for people to put कि हाँ कोई governing body है जो देख रहा है, who is going after this, कि कोई issue हो जाए तो they'll catch hold of people, whether it's developer or us, whatever it is for that matter. But the idea of this entire arrangement is that more capital will be available for developers to partner with us कि आपको develop करना है. अगर आपका debt बहुत ज़्यादा है, you say I want to liquidate my debt. You have succession plannings. कि मेरे बच्चे बिजनेस में नहीं आना चाहते and I don't want to give this legacy properties to them. Use our platform and liquidate your entire portfolio. You can always maintain your stake in these properties. Just that ये listed हो जाएगा तो आपको advantages भी बहुत होते हैं. Today when you go have a property, आप LRD लेते हो या LAP लेते हो, आपको at max 50 या 55% तक का पैसा मिलता है. जब लिस्ट हो जाता है आपको 80% तक का पैसा मिल जाता है. नंबर 1. सेकंड, जब आप रखते हो और आप बेचते हो आपको LTCG is 20% with indexation. That is what it is. It's listed, it's 10% with indexation. So it's again tax beneficial for you. Succession planning becomes easier for you as well when you have to give it to your son or daughter who has zero idea about real estate or is not focused on real estate, who is probably an IT professional, is running a very successful company, whatever, XYZ. You can give them as a thing because on the other hand, there's a professional company who's managing the property for you, right? So that these are a lot of advantages which you get apart from scalability, apart from you going national, etc. Third thing which us as platforms can bring, जैसे आज हमको 3.5-4 साल हो गए बिजनेस चालू करके, हम लोग अभी 1700 से 1800 करोड़ का AUM मैनेज करते. These are the number of properties we bought and we have grade A clients as well. Now what happens is बहुत सारे client होते हैं जो बोलते हैं मैं सिर्फ tier 1 developer के साथ काम करूंगा क्योंकि मैं जानता हूँ उसके पास पैसा है, वो बना सकता है. वो tier 2 और tier 3 को कट कर देते हैं कि भाई तुम्हारे पास पैसे नहीं है, I don't want to work with you, you don't have a track record, I don't want to work with you. That's why we come in as partners with you कि यार मैं back कर रहा हूँ, पैसा तो है, और in terms of ensuring कि credibility है कि नहीं है, हमारे पास भी बहुत सारे portfolio and we have grade A clients, तो किसी भी client को call करके पूछ ले अगर किसी को issue हो रहा है. Because our job is to solve that for the tenant also, right? So we are able to pull out grade A clients which only go to tier 1 developers and bring those to you as well, because today as Strata, we are in 7 cities. So I'm not only a Bangalore company because I'm from Bangalore, I'm in Mumbai, I'm in Pune, I'm in Jaipur, I'm in Hyderabad, I'm in Chennai, now I'm going to Cochin. These are the kind of markets we're there, which means हम उसी tenant को pan India story भी दे सकते हैं कि आपको करना है partner, आप हमारे साथ pan India partnership कर सकते हो, right? That we have, let's say, sir in Jaipur, sir in Hyderabad, Haribabu sir in another city or XYZ. I have developers. So with tenants, we have those relationships as a corporate landlord, where they're able to do, and that's what Blackstone has done very successfully, right? That they got a Goldman Sachs and said, मेरे पास सलारपुर या हैदराबाद में बैठा है, मेरे पास पंचशील पुणे में बैठा है, मेरे पास एम्बेसी बैंगलोर में बैठा है, तेरे को कहाँ स्टॉक चाहिए, तू मेरे साथ आके साइन कर ले, right? So that's where they could do a lot of build to suit transactions, which is what we are trying to do in the tier 2, tier 3 categories, which is assets from 25 crores to 500 crore segment. Because इस वाले segment में कोई institutional player नहीं है जो backing कर पा रहा है. Even in terms of the cost of debt, these players have versus the tier 1 में बहुत फर्क पड़ता है, right? Almost by 100 to 200 basis point. Prestige today can raise construction financing at about 8.5% LRD rates. अपने को 10.5-11% के नीचे मिलता नहीं है, right? तो वहीं पे अपन मार खा जाते हैं because and they've also gone through that journey, right? But they had good set of investors who kept backing them, because of which they scaled to where they are, and kudos to what they've done, right? We are trying to give you a fast process. We're saying, hey, we've built an institutional platform, thanks to SEBI, it's now more regulated as well. कि आप partner करो and let's build portfolio. Many developers are like, नहीं मैं बेचूं क्यों, etc. सब developer ने माल बेचा है, तभी वो आज बड़ा बना, right? Even Hiranandani साहब ने अपना stock पूरा पवई का बेचा है, and now he's able to build large portfolio with that capital. So developer's job is to churn and not get emotional to its asset, which is very important. You're free to always be emotional to your assets. क्योंकि खून पसीना लगता है to build such a property as such. But then at the end of the day, as a developer, focus should be to multiply and not make 8% rental return. वो मेरा काम है, because I'm an investor. आपका developer का काम है, आपको 30% margin कमाने का धंधे पे focus करना चाहिए on how you can continue, because you have the skills, capability, what an investor does not. Because the investor who we have is a banker, financier, a pharma guy, an IT guy, जिनको the nuances of real estate, nuances of FSI, nuances of green lead buildings, they have no idea about all these things, right? So they're here to back you and continue bringing more capital to you, to continue you focus on keep building more and more. And at the same time, we bring you whole gamut of things to you as well. Now, what we've also done over a period of time, thanks to हमारे पास आज 3,500 इन्वेस्टर्स है, तो हम सबका प्रोफाइलिंग भी करते हैं, तो हम जानते हैं कि कौन सी कंपनी में भी काम करता है. तो अगर कल कभी हमको न्यूज़ भी आ जाए कि ये कंपनी स्पेस ढूंढ रही है, तो मैं तो कॉल कर सकता हूँ ना मेरे इन्वेस्टर को कि सर आप इनके साथ पार्टनर कर लो, कि हम पैसा लगा रहे हैं साथ में, आप किसी और के पास मत जाओ, आप हमारे साथ पार्टनर कर लो, राइट? सो दैट हैज़ हैपेंड. वी बीन एबल टू एस्टैब्लिश ऑलमोस्ट 3 ट्रांजैक्शंस राइट नाउ, जो हमारे इन्वेस्टर्स जो उसी कंपनी के सीईओ थे या सीनियर मैनेजमेंट थे जिन्होंने इन्फ्लुएंस किया, और हमने वो डेवलपर के साथ वो ट्रांजैक्शन कंप्लीट किया, एंड वी वर एबल टू बिल्ड. सो लॉट ऑफ एडवांटेजेस इज व्हाट अ डेवलपर नीड्स टू लुक एट. आई अंडरस्टैंड यू विल ऑलवेज गेट टॉप डॉलर वैल्यू इफ यू सेल टू वन HNI. द आइडिया इज दैट लुक एट होलसेल वैल्यू, कि मैं 20% के बदले 15% कमा लूँ, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, बट मैं 15% के साथ 10 धंधा कर सकता हूँ. आई डोंट हैव टू कीप स्काउटिंग to find buyers who will keep buying properties. I have one partner जिसका काम है मेरे को इन्वेस्टर लाके देना. तो मेरा काम यही है, मैं अप्रूवल लाऊं, लैंड लाऊं, डेवलप करूं, खत्म करूं, and then collectively we can even lease this properties for you.
So Mupa साहब, we are talking about like the investments, but what you think like, and what is there in SM REITs for the investors? How once the investor gets invested, would going to get returns out of it?
Okay. So basically, the investors have different options. So they will start with materials like gold, silver, and then bank fixed deposits, and then share market investments, and finally into real estate. So real estate is not very popular because of the complexity. So everybody cannot invest in a large sums, and mostly they are investing in commercial properties and apartments, and some in plots. So this is not giving a very good opportunity, because the investor is not confident, or he is not knowledgeable on these assets. So that's why this SME REITs which have been introduced, they will be definitely a good way of investment into real estate. Somebody wants to invest in real estate, this SME, immediately the main advantage is the investment size. He can start with smaller amounts, and he can choose his property also. If somebody is staying in Delhi and he wants a building which is neighboring to him, so he can invest in that. So likewise, he wants to invest in a different forms of assets. Say if you want to invest in cinema hall, he can do it. If you want to invest in something else also, whatever is possible, they can invest. Here, the basic advantage for the investor is, so the SEBI will control these SME promoters. So that's why his funds are secured, and that gives a lot of confidence. And apart from that, the return is also high when compared with the other part of investments. So the returns are now presently expected around 7, 8, up to 9% also. So this is a good boost which other assets are not able to give. So that's why I feel that this type of investment is going to be very much popular between the investors.
Thank you, sir. So to add some investment returns, it would be the income yielding, the rentals, that is expected to be like 7 to 8%. In addition to it, there would be a capital appreciation which would be coming to this asset. So in totality, somewhere 18 to 20% would be the returns which an investor can expect from an SM REITs investment. When an investors look forward for stock market, when he does not want to go towards a stock market, when an investor have a small capital and he does not even wants to go to an FDR of a bank, then taking an indirect exposure to real estate along with and fixed return, which to a tune of 95% of the capital would be paid in terms of the yield which have been earned during the quarter. So whatever have been earned by the SM REITs in a quarter, 95% would be distributed at the end of every quarter. So it is not like if I am doing an FD, I would be getting my returns after 5 years, which has been accumulated on the FD. If I have invested as an investor in small and medium REITs, 95% whatever have been earned during the quarter would going to come to me. So with this, the screen is showing me time up, and I steal some of the time from the next panel, and look forward for some of the questions, if any. The panel would be happy to answer. So please, the house is open for the question answers as committed by me at the start. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Please.
Two questions, one for you, one for the panel. Question for you, 18-20%, is that realistic to expect? Because if you're talking about give or take 9% yield, you're talking about a capital appreciation of close to 10% per annum. Is that realistic? So that's question one. Yeah. Question two, which is for Shiv and Sudarshan, is, given the new regulations, at the end of the day, you are two great stalwarts. So, my understanding in the industry is quite small right now. I take the point, Shiv, that you said. How do we scale it? What help do you need from NAREDCO? Because at the end of the day, if just like Blackstone and Brookfield were successful, the first couple of REITs, and I remember Niranjan saying this 5-7 years ago, if the first couple of REITs are successful, the industry will boom. We need this. So that's the second question for both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. To answer the question which has been given to me, if we see the capital appreciation in real estate, we take a small example just near to our home or near to our office, and if we see what are the capital appreciation and we do accumulation, it is not less than 10 to 12% annually. It may happen that in a year, the appreciation have not came for 10-12% during the year, but in the horizon, definitely if we do see the returns, it is that. In addition, with the assets in which the investments have been done, for which the returns are being expected are different. From a commercial one, definitely the returns are more. From the residentials, the returns are less. Hotels are one of the assets. Data centers are one. Warehouses are one. We would have not expected in 2019-20 if somebody is holding an assets of warehouse, and these 4 years, what is the capital appreciation? What are the returns these assets have made? So definitely these are absolutely achievable. And quoting Shri Hiranandani Saab only, 3 or 4 days before, I was just going through one of his interview, and in his interview, he said, and I quote Shri Hiranandani Saab's quote, "Friends, please buy an asset in India because in time to come," I again quote, "in time to come, the real estate would be unaffordable, and more which would be unaffordable would be the rentals." Today, in US, 96% of the assets are being controlled by REITs. So now, when we are looking forward for 2047, when we are looking forward that there will be a paradigm shift in our country, when we are looking forward that there are investors who are coming across the world to India, capital appreciation is like, I think this would be a conservative figure of 10 to 12% capital appreciation, what I personally think for. Just a week before, Gift City at IFSCA have opened direct listings in India. So now if one of my SM REITs is listed there at the Gift City, IFSCA, foreign investors can come and invest in dollar terms. And I'm not talking about foreign investors of a particular country. The world can come to India and invest. How we see the real estate property prices in Singapore in 1975, 80s and today. How we see US, how we see Dubai. These are the live examples. So the time moving forward is for India.
Thanks.
So, yeah, second question.
Yeah, Kuldeep ji, I'll just answer your second question. How do we make sure that this industry scales? It's just very early and very nascent in the industry, and specifically from a NAREDCO perspective. So I think, ultimately, investors need to make good returns for them to keep coming back. And what is required for that? We require quality assets at good prices. So I think what we as fractional ownership platforms or SM REIT managers would want to tell NAREDCO is that now you have an exit option once you build a commercial asset, which wasn't there in the past. In the past, handful of exit options for the 5, 6 top players. So build quality assets, get good tenants, whether it's in tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities. Just focus on quality of good assets, exit 2 platforms, and once you have that one established relation with the platform as a developer, the tap of cash flow and funds are going to be there. Because then once the investor has tasted and they have comfort in, okay, they bought an asset from this developer in whether it's Mumbai, Pune, Ahmedabad, they tasted that, okay, everything is comfortable, I'm earning my rentals, they've been able to exit their share if they need to. They build that comfort and trust with that one developer or 2 developers through that platform. Then the funding tap is going to be constant. So from a NAREDCO perspective, from a developer perspective, I think just build quality assets. The exit option is there with the SM REIT platforms.
Sudeshanji, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sure. So 18, to be very honest, let's be very realistic. I'm not leveraging my investment, so it's very unrealistic to expect that I'll make that money in all the assets. But a 13 to 14 is a very reasonable average, what one should expect, and that is a realistic figure. Because we're not leveraging our investments to hit those kind of returns, to be very honest. And anyone who's promising, you need to be careful. Because वो बनता नहीं है, आप रियल एस्टेट में आप जानते ही हो कि अगर इतना ही बनाते लोग तो आप बेचते ही क्यों, right, at the end of the day. So that's number one. Second, very right that now that the industry is at nascent and now it's regulated, it's very important that this scales, because this brings value to the ecosystem in general. And to Amit's story about this is the new India, the opportunities in India, the money flow in India, etc. It has to go through in the right channels more than anything, right? That people trust is very important, and people keep deploying money. Which means folks like Hiranandani Saab and all these large developers are going to get 10x more money as well. It's a simple situation. I don't know if you guys have been reading about how Open is going to come into the market, which is Open Credit Enabled Network, thanks to UPI and all the enablers which government has made. Access to credit is going to be easy. किसी को पैसा डेट पे चाहिए, आज आप लोन लेने जाते हो, you know the headache it takes to get a loan as such, right? Government is trying to make it, because if you have to be that $5-10 trillion economy, credit is the only way your economy can build that way. US में loan लेना is the most simplest process. In India में it's a complicated headache. Like for instance, I'm sure many developers, just because loan is the way we can multiply our returns, we take loans. Otherwise, if you have to go through that harassment, you're not interested, right? It's very, very sure about it, right? Government is working towards it. But at the same time, when government starts working towards making credit easier, the larger players will get credit at a cheaper price. I gave an example that Prestige को वो same 8-8.5 मिलता है, आपको नहीं मिलता, right? This is continuously going to happen, which means the guy can, आप apartment वहाँ launch करोगे at even 10,000, Prestige वहाँ 9,000 में बेचेगा तो उसको same return मिलेगा जो आपको return कमाओगे at the end of the day, right? But he still commands 12,000 at lower cost, your higher cost, and you command lesser. That's the thing which we need to solve. So what Shiv said, that partner more with us, look at the long-term perspective, don't look at short-term, don't be emotional to your assets. Let's work together and build large portfolio at the same time, because that will give this platform a takeoff in a large way, that if you have to compete, I mean, Hiranand Saab is the president, but I'm just using him as an example. If you have to compete with him tomorrow as the big boss, we can do it collectively as such.
No, I have no doubt. So, quick follow-on question, which is from the regulation point of view. You know, some people have said to me the 20 crore and the fact of investment that you have to keep making is large. Is that a hindrance?
It is a hindrance for me, because...
Yeah. And that's my question was from a NAREDCO point of view, was also that can NAREDCO help you guys, or indeed other people in the industry, you know, with something that we can take back to government, you know,
absolutely, sir.
Or that's my second part of it.
So, Mupaji would like to add on to your.
Yes, I understand your question. The role of NAREDCO, to be brief, NAREDCO is always a vibrant institution. We always are in front foot whenever a new resolution is passed and a new act has come. In fact, when the RERA was introduced, we have played very vital role. We have contributed many sessions, and after RERA also, we have educated all of our builders. Almost in all builders, we will always explain them, caution them to follow the RERA rules. Likewise, in this also, first our role will be to educate our builders and ask them to use this platform. Likewise, we also will caution the investors or educate the investors regarding our builders, or if any problem comes, we will try to suggest them. So there is one more player called, like our friends who are on platforms. Sometimes the builders may not be comfortable with the platform owners and their activities. In such cases, to safeguard our builders, we will talk with them or we will suggest them also. So definitely NAREDCO is going to play a much longer role and much stronger role. Thank you.
The next question, please.
Yes, hello. Hello.
And it would be the last question, like, yeah, please.
I have one small question.
Yeah, please.
I'm Harsh Bansal, co-founder, Unity Group, Delhi. So I have a question about the applicability of this law. So is it applicable on the leasehold property also? That's my one question. Number two is, if the answer is yes, so do you have the term for the lease? So the lease should be 50 year, 90 year or something like that. Number two, is it applicable on the BOT project also? BOT or PPP model projects which are allotted by the authority for 30 years, 50 years also. And number three, is it applicable on the partly sold property? I have 20-story building and I have sold 5-story or 6-story. Is it applicable on the partly sold building also? There's the question.
So there are three questions.
Three questions.
Last question, I answer no. First question, for the partly property, no. The answer is no. For the first question, I would request.
No, in the sense, the partly owned property, you know, if say 20-story building and 10 stories have been sold to XYZ, you know, X person, Y person, the remaining 10 floors can be sold through the platform. And there is no issue with that. It has to be leased.
It does of course. The building is 20-story and it is 100% leased.
Then yes.
And 10 stories sold.
Sold and leased. Sold and leased.
Sold, leased first, then sold.
Yeah.
Yes.
And 10 stories still lying with the company.
But leased.
But leased, of
Then
course.
yes, then it is very applicable for the platform. In fact, that's one of our major sources of, even as of today, platforms are picking up, parts of buildings.
Perfectly fine.
So, completely applicable. In terms of leasehold as well, if the land is leasehold, there's no issue per se from a regulation perspective. I think then it becomes a commercial call for each platform as to how much of the lease term is remaining, what is the expectation of renewal, and that might be factored into the pricing of the asset. But from a regulation perspective, there's no issue. In terms of the BOT question, if you can just repeat the...
So, the second part of the first one, lease means lease can be 30 years, 90 years, 50 years term lease. So, is there any cap of the lease time? There is no cap.
No, there's no cap. That's a commercial call of each platform.
That's okay.
Yes.
The second is the BOT. BOT means like Delhi Metro, they allot land to the developer for developing the land on a BOT basis,
Right.
built, operate and transfer. Normally it's for 30 years to 50 years. So we get the 100% rental from that property, but those, you can say the property is with us for a limited time.
I think there shouldn't be an issue, but there is not a real estate asset. So that would still have to be examined. It's more an infra asset.
No, it's a real estate, it's a mall.
No, if it is allowed. It is allowed if it's this TODs, which is transit-oriented development.
No, TOD is separate. So TOD is a...
Even on build, operate, transfer, if it is a built building, leased building, it is allowed. There's no stipulation that it's not allowed. No, there's no problem if there's no ownership as well. It can be assignment of lease.
Hello. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
So it's like, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For participation. I thanks the panel and all the participants and look forward to do a next session very soon with every one of you. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thanks to our panelists and our lovely audience for such intriguing questions. I would request our panelists to kindly stay back on stage. We would like to felicitate their presence. I would like to call upon K. Ramakrishna Rao on stage, please, to felicitate Mr. Shiv Parekh. Can we have Mr. K. Ramakrishna Rao, please? Can we have a big round of applause for this lovely panel discussion, our panelists, eminent speakers, and our moderator. Can we have the next, can we have Mr. Peravali Naga Vamsi to kindly come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Sudarshan Lodha. Mr. Vamsi, can we have you on stage, please? Mr. Rao, can you felicitate our next panelist as well? Mr. Rao, can you please felicitate Mr. Sudarshan as well? Thank you so much. Can I request Mr. Y. Raghuram to kindly come up on stage to felicitate Mr. Mupa Chaudhary? Mr. Y. Raghuram. Yes, sir. Can you come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Mupa Chaudhary, please? Thank you, Mr. Rao. Thank you. Can I request Mr. K. Ramakrishna Rao to kindly come up on stage and felicitate our moderator, C.A. Amit Kumar Kedia. Can we have a big round of applause for all of our speakers, please? And can I also request Mr. K. Ramakrishna Rao to kindly come up on stage? Mr. Y. Raghuram, can you also felicitate our next speaker, our moderator, C.A. Amit Kumar Kedia? Mr. Raghuram, can you felicitate our moderator, please? Can I request Shri Potuluri Srinivas to kindly come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Sunil Jain? NAREDCO, Rajasthan. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for gracing the stage and for a very interactive discussion. Thank you. Thank you so much.